Guns and children. Despite the constant individual stories of children being killed by guns, tragically either an unsecured gun or an otherwise mishandled gun, the NRA continues to insist that more guns in the hands of children is a very good thing. The NRA recently had a convention in Indianapolis. They had a youth day to promote firearms for children. Media was banned from that event, by the way. And for years, gun manufacturers and the NRA have had these programs to introduce firearms to kids 5 to 12 years old. They have the Eddie Eagle safety program that they say teaches little kids safe gun handling, etc., etc. Either they know they're not really keeping kids safe with these programs, or they're ignorant to the fact. And Slate has put together really just a treasure trove of studies, real studies that look at gun safety and children. And it is an absolute disaster, ladies and gentlemen. The United States accounts for nearly 75% of all children murdered in the developed world. The important thing is, given population differences, how much more or less likely is a child to die from gun violence in the U.S. than in other countries? The number we get from the International Journal of Epidemiology. Listen to this. Children between ages 5 and 14 in the U.S. are 17 times more likely to be murdered by firearms than children in other industrialized nations. If you break down the information within the United States, in states that have more guns and fewer guns, children from states with more guns suffer from significantly higher rates of homicide. Those results from a study called Firearm Availability and Unintentional Firearm Deaths, Suicide, and Homicide amongst 5 to 14-year-olds. A study looked at youth in North Carolina, and they found that most of these deaths were caused by legally purchased firearms. Thus, keeping the guns away from those who would acquire them illegally is not even really the most important thing. That was from a study called From Gun Store to Smoking Gun, tracking guns that kill children in North Carolina. There was a recent meta-analysis done that revealed easier access to firearms doubles the risk of homicide and triples the risk of suicide among all household members, and that family violence is far more lethal when there are guns in the house. Family violence, which exists everywhere, is far more likely to be lethal if there are guns in the house, which is, of course, a danger to children. This goes on and on and on, and we will post all of the study data in the description of the YouTube video of this segment. The reaction from many: cars kill people too, let's ban cars. Seriously, lay off these ridiculous false equivalencies of finding a fatality statistic that shows that a utility object like a car or a kitchen knife can also kill people. Firearms are not utility devices, even though some gun nuts will say they are, because protecting yourself with a gun is just as necessary and just as much of a day-to-day activity as is driving a vehicle. It is not. Stop the false equivalencies, look at the data, and tell your elected officials to do something about it instead of hiding behind the NRA and there are more guns everywhere nonsense.
Yeah, I agree with all of the data here. And, you know, without having anything to do with legislating the amount of guns sold or the ease of access to guns, can we at least, considering how many children are killed by grabbing guns that are around, can we at least prosecute people who are negligent with their firearms? Can we at least do that?
Too many of these accidents where no one is charged. It is a negligent discharge of a firearm if a kid gets a hold of an unsecured gun, and the individual, the adult who didn't secure it, needs to be held accountable. Let's take a break. Next, Daniel Estelin is back on the program to talk about Bilderberg Group. Will this go down the road of Illuminati conspiracies or not?